Good morning and thank you for attending Police Headquarters. My name is Constable Carolyn DeClute and I'm here today to introduce Detective Sergeant Ian Nichol of Financial Crimes. He will be updating you on Project Royal.
Good morning. Today I'm going to speak briefly about the Toronto Strategic Partnership and Project Royal. Once I'm finished, I ask that you hold your questions until I introduce Mike Kelly and Tim Trotter, who are going to speak in greater depth about the investigation. The Toronto Strategic Partnership is a collaboration of the Toronto Police Service, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Competition Bureau of Canada, the Ontario Ministry of Government and Consumer Services, the Ontario Ministry of Finance, the United States Federal Trade Commission, and the United States Postal Inspection Service. We are tasked with the investigation and prevention of mass marketing fraud and cross-border mass marketing fraud. In the summer of 2016, information gleaned via a mass marketing fraud investigation formed the basis of Project Royal. Investigators became aware of and focused on allegations of ongoing fraud committed by a group of persons in the GTA. Members of this group allegedly lived a high-profile lifestyle fueled by the proceeds of identity theft. Assistance to the Toronto Strategic Partnership during this investigation was provided by members of the York Regional Police, Canada Border Services Agency, the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, Canada Post Security and Investigation Services, the Financial Transaction and Reports Analysis Centre of Canada, which is also known as FinTrack, and members of the public. The investigation has resulted in the arrest and issuance of warrants for the persons I'm speaking of today. Among them are Adadeo Ogundana, 45 years, also known as Oladapupo Ogund of Toronto, who was arrested on Tuesday, December 13, 2016. He's charged with 2 counts of fraud over $5,000, 10 counts of fraud under $5,000, possession of property obtained by crime over $5,000, and possession of proceeds of crime. He's scheduled to appear in court at 1000 Finch Avenue West on Thursday, May the 18th, 2017 at 9 a.m. in courtroom 301. On Thursday, March 9th, 2017, a warrant first instance was issued for Duro Akintola, 44 years, of Toronto. He's also known as Mickey Noah, and he's wanted on several fraud-related charges. Emmanuel Salako, 47 years of age, of Toronto, also known as G. Salak, was indicted on fraud-related charges by the United States Postal Inspection Service in Chicago under the name of George Salako. He's currently wanted in the United States in relation to those charges. On the 24th of April, 2017, members of the Toronto Police Service, the RCMP, Ministry of Finance, and Ministry of Consumer and Business Services executed a criminal code search warrant at a Yorkville condominium that is alleged to be under the control of Adequinly Omidiran, 37 years, of Toronto. Among the items seized were $39,000 in cash, 7 watches valued at $310,000, clothing, jewelry, accessories, and liquor, which is valued at a further $390,000. All those items are alleged to have been obtained via identity theft. 37 credit cards in other persons' names believed to obtain through identity theft. Hundreds of pieces of mail that we are alleging are stolen. A series of notebooks containing the identity information of at least 5,000 residents of the GTA was also located, and that's alleged to form the starting point of what amounts to over $10 million in offenses committed through identity theft. On the 27th of April, 2017, Adequinly Omidiran was arrested and charged with fraud over $5,000, 4 counts of fraud under $5,000, 2 global counts of identity theft, trafficking in identity information, possession of credit cards obtained by crime, 2 counts of the possession of proceeds of crime, and failing to comply with probation. He's scheduled to appear in College Park Court, courtroom 509, on Thursday, May 19, 2017. One disconcerting component about this investigation is the belief of investigators that Adequinly Omidiran maintains extensive connections to persons that have legitimate access to identity information, and that they're providing such access for consideration. Investigators are seeking the assistance of the public in identifying such persons. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Financial Crimes Unit at 416-808-7300, Crime Stoppers anonymously at 416-222-TIPS, online at www.22tips.com, or text TOR and your message to crimes, which is 274-637. Thank you for your time, and I'm going to turn it over to Mike Kelly and Tim Trotter.
Morning, I'm Mike Kelly, K-E-L-L-Y, with the Toronto Police Financial Crimes, and I'll take any questions if you have any.
You said that these guys have extensive connections to persons who have access to identities. Who would these people be? What kind of profession would they have that would have access to?
Well, I can't speak specifically because at this point it's an investigative belief at this time, and we are pursuing a number of investigative leads on that front. I can tell you that we believe that he has associations with people in sensitive positions within financial industry, within the financial institutions, as well as a number of other places which would have access to sensitive information.
Any idea how these men were able to get the personal information that was found in those notebooks that were seized, as well as the mail that they obtained?
Well, we can say that the materials, at least from the evidence that we've been able to review, it appears at some point these individuals come into contact with mail that appears to have been stolen in one facet or another. That information is then transcribed, what we believe, into these notebooks, and then checked out effectively. It's some form of mechanism of checking the overall credit capabilities of it and the worthiness of exploitation. And then a series of things flow from that, which result in a new credit card being issued to a legitimate person, and somebody associated with this group facilitating the interception of that credit card, taking it, and then misusing it.
And the mail that they would steal to get that information, is it credit card bills? Like what kind, how are they?
There's a variety of pieces of mail that we've been able to seize and review. They do vary from your everyday banking statements to your credit card bills and other forms of personal correspondence that would be sent to any normal person who has any form of bank account or business dealing whatsoever.
So all of these items here, these luxury items, they are legitimate items. Like these are not counterfeit at all.
That's correct, or at least evidence that we found within the one residence does indicate that these items were purchased primarily in the Yorkville area, in and around that area, and that there were receipts found inside the residence that does cause us to believe that that's where they came from.
This guy's items, right?
We are alleging that this is a condominium that was utilized by Mr. Amidaran. It was we are alleging that he gained access to the use of this condominium through a false pretense and misled the owner of the condominium as to his identity as well as his area of residence and the nature of his business.
So he's on bail?
He was on bail. He was on probation. And at the time of his arrest, so we charged him with a count of failing to comply with the terms of his probation.
So now he has no shoes or clothing?
This represents a small sampling of, I believe we've seized 90 pairs of shoes. The footwear alone is assessed to be in excess of $100,000 just in shoes.
Is this a victimless crime, Detective? I mean, I was just listening on YouTube, because I was a little bit late, but it appears that people like us are victims because our credit cards become compromised. Mine was last week. But the credit card companies are able to just sort of, issue you a new card. How does this affect most people who, yes, they've been victims of credit card fraud, but don't really feel like, so if someone was living off the proceeds of fraud, but how does it affect the everyday person?
Well, there's two sort of ways in which that occurs. Obviously, when you pool the collective victimization of numerous people, you're able to obtain high-value items, like excessive high-value items, through the defrauding of the banks, which is one element of and component of victimization. However, there is the other component where it is the individual people. Very well and good that the bank doesn't hold them necessarily accountable for the purchases, and the bank absorbs the loss, as you seem to indicate. But those individuals also have potentially faced weeks, months of repairing their own damage to their credit profile and their good name. So you're talking about, from what we found, literally thousands of individuals all throughout the GTA whose information at least has been is compromised and certainly in a position of risk, let alone exploited.
So how do you protect yourself is my question, because I've had my credit card compromised, 3 or 4 times in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pain. It's a pain, and my credit rating may be affected.
Yeah, there are a number of steps that I think are pretty much universal. One is just even paying attention for knowing when your credit card statements are coming, and knowing that if they're not showing up, then that might be something that's worth looking at. Going paperless is an option. I know a lot of banks offer electronic billing or notification. That's another way of doing it. If you're going to get a new credit card issued to you, go pick it up at your bank. Go pick it up at your local branch. That's an opportunity where it doesn't need to be intercepted. Again, I know that all the credit bureau agencies recommend that you get your own personal credit, check your own credit on a regular basis, on a yearly basis. It's free. You can order a copy of your own credit report and see whether or not there are entries on there that are or aren't yours.
Can you talk about these high-profile lifestyles that are living?
Yeah, well, you can see for yourselves on open source. A lot of the social media posts were there of conspicuous consumption at high-end places, whether it be in Yorkville or the King West area, and living a very openly high-profile lifestyle. And I think it's all, again, it's all open source for all of you to view for yourselves and judge for yourselves.
What were they saying they were doing for a living? Because people would have been saying, how are you making all this money to afford this lavish lifestyle?
From what we've seen and heard, what was being represented was that some indicated to people that they were businessmen, some saying that they were just in town for a little while, and businessmen, in fact, we believe all of them to be residents of the GTA. Mr. Omitaran has suggested that he is a mover. A mover, works for a moving company. That's what he has stated.
So
And this lust for the high life is their primary motive, and, as far as you're concerned?
There's no existence of any other motivation beyond the remnants of conspicuous consumption that are here in front of us right now. There's no evidence whatsoever of anything beyond this. Effectively, a hand-to-foot existence or hand-to-cologne existence or whatever.
what kind of cars were they driving, these fellows?
There's one vehicle that we were able to view and find, but it was a vehicle that's registered in someone else's name, so we're not 100% sure if it was actually entirely his. It was a Jaguar. But
As far as I understand, you can't pay for an apartment with a credit card. How did he get the place in Yorkville?
we're getting a little bit into where some evidence will be coming out at a later date. I can speak generally that part of this group, we are alleging that individuals were used sometimes as runners to go to banks and exploit the credit card for sums of cash or gift cards. That's another way of realizing the profits.
So can you explain that a bit? What do you mean going to banks to realize?
Well, effectively going in and using a credit card the same way you would about a debit card, going in and receiving a cash advance on that credit card. So receiving $1,000 in cash, but going around to multiple bank machines with multiple cards, 1,000 becomes 10,000 rather quickly.
Can you tell us how much he was paying a month at that condo and how long was he there?
We don't have any evidence specifically as it relates to a payment. From what we understand, at least from what we've reviewed of the evidence, that the owner was under the belief that somebody needed assistance.
Did the moving company angle come into play at all in terms of getting the mail that they got, the access to the personal information?
At this time, there's no evidence to suggest that. It seems like it's just, if I asked you what you did for a living and you said, I'm a marine biologist.
What do you mean by when you said the condo owner believed that he needed assistance? We're a little.
I can't get too much into it because it's talking about a very specific piece of evidence that we'll be dealing with. I can't really elaborate much beyond that.
Can you tell us what Yorkville condo tower it was?
At this time I can't, not in this setting.
How did you take this guy down? The main guy, Omitaran, how did you arrest him?
Well, the way we arrested, he was arrested, we attended the area of the condominium that we wished to search. We attempted to arrest Mr. Omitaran. outside of the condo. As he was approached by officers, he ran. Incidentally, shortly after the foot pursuit was over, a citizen, a member of the public, actually pointed to the area around the area where he started running, and pointed to a credit card belonging to somebody not being Mr. Omidharan in the area that he ran from. So we then executed the search warrant on the condominium and a vehicle that was parked in a garage nearby, and Mr. Omidharan surrendered himself through his counsel to us on the Thursday the 27th.
Sorry, when was the search warrant executed?
April 24th, Monday, April 24th.
Can any of this be returned to where it was purchased from?
Effectively, it could be returned to the place of purchase, but the entity that's effectively out the money are the actual credit card providers, which in most cases are the banks themselves. And there is some suggestion that even at individual vendors, that there has been some suggestion that there might be complicity at the places of purchase, that individuals may be looking the other direction and saying, well, as long as it goes through, the banks are going to wear it anyways. There's some suggestion of that, and we're investigating that as well. There's a lot of elements and layers. Obviously, this type of realization, this type of action isn't something that one person can just do by him or herself. Effectively needs a network of people behind him or her, and that is that's what we're pursuing at this point. We believe, again, that he's received assistance at a number of different places and in a number of different facets.
Just a little confused. There are a bunch of people, a number of arrests made and some warrants outstanding.
Yes.
Are these people all connected, and how are they connected?
From what we understand, that a number of these individuals, that they are a group of friends or at least social associates, and it's by investigating individual acts and actions and exploring different pieces of evidence that we've obtained through the months. It was the late summer of last year when we started picking through it. When we start seeing the same names and the same types of pieces of information that pop up again and again, you start realizing that perhaps in some instances people may work together or facilitate things for one another.
Are some of these people that you've arrested or you're trying to arrest, are they involved in financial services? Are they behind the scenes?
The individuals that we've announced today, no. We have identified individuals that have worked in those positions. We made appropriate notifications, and we were subsequently informed that those individuals are no longer in those positions.
So some of the people you've arrested may have worked in a financial institution before?
No, just some people that were associated to some of these people.
So what happens with this merchandise now?
At this point, we'll be seizing it effectively as the proceeds and the realization of crime, and it'll be up to the court to decide if and when that comes, to whom it belongs or what purpose it should go to.
Can you talk about the wine down there? What kind of taste did he have in wine? Are these expensive bottles?
Yeah, it's my understanding that they're $100 to $200 a bottle, and I believe we had a total of a couple $1,000s in liquor. We had $15,000 in cologne. We had over $2,000 just in skin moisturizer. We $10,000 in sunglasses. It just, like I say, it's the absurdity of the consumption which stands out, and the extent to which it was realized and possessed was unusual.
And this was all at the condo of where Mr. Omidharan was living?
Correct. This is a small sample. We seized, I believe there was about 90 pairs of shoes, totaling more than $100,000 in value.
And so would you consider him then the ringleader? Is that?
I don't know if that's an appropriate characterization at this point. We're still investigating that. There's other pieces of evidence that we're still waiting on and to have analyzed. We're open to that possibility, but at this time, it just would be irresponsible to say one way or another.
Any last questions?
Okay, thank you.
That concludes today's conference. Thank you for attending. There's a news release with all the information, the charges and court dates. That's also just been released.